Simon, why do I slice the ball? Simon, what are you deadlifting at the moment? Simon, why do you suck at life? These are the questions I always get asked, so let's get straight into the video. Oh my God, what an unbelievable evening it is today. It's been absolutely pissing it down 24/7. I finished work and it's like this. Unfortunately, we're not gonna go and play golf. We've got gym, we've got a podcast with the Shankers boys tonight, which I'm looking forward to, and I've got this Q&A to film. We've got a lot on, let's get straight into it. Now, I know I say not gonna lie, and however in every single video multiple times, but not gonna lie, this place looks unbelievable this evening. However, it's freezing and cold, so let's get straight into this Q&A from all you guys posting in the community page. I don't know how you get notifications for that, whether you have to have notifications on or just subscribe to the channel or just check it out. I'm not too sure, so if you didn't see that, just be sure to check my community page on YouTube quite a bit, because I normally do like surveys or polls or stuff to interact with videos just to get your guys' general ideas, for example. But let's get into these questions. I'm going to fire through them. We have 40 of them. I posted this last night, so thank you to everyone that asked me a question. And sorry for the people that might have sent me a message on Instagram or Facebook or left it in comment section. I'm trying to get through them as best as I can. However, if you post a comment on a Sunday at 2 o'clock, I'm probably in the pub and I won't get till Monday, and there'll be a lot of them. So then I kind of just miss out. So apologies if you're one of those persons, but keep badgering me and I will get back to you. Jeffrey DeWitt, could you make a video on basic fitness exercises you could do to increase swing speed? I could, however, I'm not a personal trainer, so I don't want to give information because I'm not an expert. But when I get to a point that I know that these exercises are a must, I will definitely make that video. Alan Proctor, how highly do you value a pre-shot routine? Very highly indeed. You've always got to have lemon and salt on standby, and then also a cheeky pint on the side to wash it down if it does go wrong. Seth Marriott, I'm having a lot of trouble with my driver and how high I'm hitting it. How can I create more spin with my driver and 3 wood? It sounds like you're probably hitting up on the ball too much, to be honest, Seth. Tee the ball slightly lower, more of a downward strike on it. It's going to help the ball climb. Nice little plane there. However, I should say, why would you want more spin if it's already going high? Spin helps the ball climb more. Potentially your driver's spinning a tiny bit too much. I'd have to see it in person. Okay, Alan, sorry. Pre-shot routine. It is important if you're under pressure or if you're in a competition where you're feeling a tiny bit nervous. However, it's like anything. You've got to practice your pre-shot routine all the time, every time you play golf, so it's just second nature. So as soon as you touch that club, you're in go mode, you can commit to the shot and target and then just execute it and basically get rid of all external factors. So you're purely focusing on the task at hand, which is normally what happens when you're under pressure. You think about everything else. You think about that you're playing partners, or you think about the danger zones or making a mistake. That's why a pre-shot routine is important. If you're just playing with your mates as a beginner or knocking about, not that important. Pag Golf Vlogs, here's a question: why is lie angle mostly ignored on driver fitting and driver testing? It's a good question. To be honest, because drivers are very low lofted, i.e. they're basically 10 degrees like that, lie angle at impact doesn't make that much difference in terms of the direction of where the ball's going. Obviously, club face alignment's the big one. Iron fitting, for example, if it's like that, like a 7 iron, as soon as I tilt that, it makes it go massively to the left, or if I tilt it that way, it makes it go massively to the right. Whereas drivers, no matter where I turn it, it's pretty much always at the target. That, and drivers rarely get any turf reaction, therefore that side of it not that important. Not to say you should discredit all of it, because yes, it's going to have a factor, because there is loft on the ball, exactly the same as putters. Upright putters, 2 flat putters, is going to affect where the ball starts. However, if you're going through a driver fit, it's probably the last thing to look at. And if everything else being on the box is being ticked, i.e. the ball finishes on target, spin rate, launch rate is good, lie angle is probably something that you might overlook. Edward Bellamy, how can I gain spin with clubs I have and gain more carry distance? Descending blows normally help, or faster swing speed. Tee height for fairway wood versus driver, always have the ball half like the circumference over the crown. So for fairway wood, slightly over the top, which is basically going to be just above ground level. On driver, again, I normally use the orange tees, which is 2 3/4. Dan Turner, at your level, how many numbers inside your wedge can you hit? 5-yard increments, 10-yard increments? Where should I start? Clock face, 50, 54. I love the way you said my level, assuming that I'm good with my wedges now. When I used to practice a lot, I had 3 swings with 3 different wedges, which was a 7:30, a 9 o'clock and a 10:30, which basically gave me 10 to 12 yard distances throughout my wedge game. That's kind of how I worked it out. You'd only know whether it's 5 yards or 10 yard increments when you practice it. So have 3 swings with 3 different wedges. Don't put a target down, don't put direction, just hit 5 balls with each shot, each swing, and then mark out what that distance was. Don't try and hit to a 30-yard distance or a 50-yard distance. Make it what's natural to your swing speed, and then go from there. Write them all down and have a look and see if there's any massive gaps. Hopefully there isn't, and they are now your wedge yardages. The golf project, why is it with different irons I've tested? Some I will strike the ball from the toe with one brand, and others I strike out the hosel. I'd have to see you swing it, to be perfectly honest. However, shaft length is the major thing when it comes down to centerness of strike, so just be sure that obviously the irons are the same length, standard fitting, but then shaft can play a part depending on how much that is going to bow and bend on the way in your downswing, depending on how fast you swing it. But to be honest, I'd have to have a look, but length is normally the main factor when it comes to hitting an iron out the middle. Paul Clerkin, for your first ever club fitting, would you get fitted at a retail outlet for free or pay at a custom club fitting and club building specialist? It's a good question. To be honest, you could do both. Like, go and, if you're just in the market and you're thinking about it and you want to see if there's any difference between your driver and the new one, go and get a free checkup. Why not? See if there's any difference, launch, spin. However, I would say if you're going to be spending a lot of money on a new driver, £450, the majority of places, like the really good guys like me, will charge you for their time, but if you buy the driver, they're not going to charge you at all anyway, so it's going to be free as well. That's my advice. Sam Woods, how much would you say you spent on lessons whilst you learned the game, and how much have you learned which is self-taught? I spent, when I was trying to get my handicap down to 4 so I can do my PGA, I was spending probably about £140 a month on lessons. But it's all I ever did. I didn't do anything else. I had my set of irons, I played and practiced 30 to 40 hours a week. I was obsessed. Now I've learned more things 10 years down the line. Even though I knew what my coach was saying, I literally couldn't do it until now. And I'll do it maybe this year, next year, last year, and I'll be like, that's what he meant. But I can only do it now because I'm 10 years down the line of playing golf, and I'm sure that'll ring true for a lot of golfers that play this game for 20, 30 years. You keep coming under things and going, now I know how it's supposed to go. Now I understand this. Now I know how to work. You can't rush the process, unfortunately. But I did spend a lot of money on lessons. Adam Caldecott, tea or coffee, steak or chicken, beans on toast or eggs on toast, football or rugby, coffee, steak, egg on toast, football. Mark Preston, with the little one, the day job and YouTube, how much time do you actually get to play golf? I'm going to rephrase that for you, Mark, and hopefully this answers it. How much time do I actually get to see my wife? Very little. With the baby, day job, YouTube, golf coaching, gym, it is very full on. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not asking for any sympathy, but I love this, and hopefully in 10, 12, 15 years, all the work I'm putting in now means that obviously I can create what I want for my family and spend a lot more quality time, as well as obviously play a lot more golf. At the moment, unfortunately, there's not much time for golf. My 3-wood is a bit too long. My 5-wood is too short. Should I go for a 4-wood? And what is the purpose of the 4-wood for a beginner? There's not such thing as like a 4-wood for a beginner. What I would say is that every club in the bag has to have a purpose. So if the 3 was too long and the 5 was too short, then go for the 4-wood. It's just a number on the bottom of your wood. If you hit it well and it goes the distance you want it to go, then by all means it should be in your bag. Can you make a video comparing using the correct golf ball for your swing speed versus using an assortment of random balls? Yes, I can, and I have tried to do this in the past, but ball fitting and finding balls for different swing speeds is difficult because I'm not a robot, and sometimes you get very sporadic numbers which aren't conclusive, and therefore it just kind of looks like you're all making it up. So once I come up with an idea and a plan of making that a bit more conclusive, then yes, definitely. I'm a right-handed player and I tend to block a lot of my shots out to the right. Any tips on how to fix this? You need to close your club face. If it is a block, i.e. not a slice or a fade, but it goes right, stays straight and finishes right at the target, your club face is too open. Potentially just strengthen your grip up is a simple fix. What's the one thing in golf you would change, a rule or an attitude? I think the attitude side of it would be the majority of the population in the world not thinking it's an old man expensive game, and hopefully with this channel we can change that. Any tips on getting back to golf after an injury? After 6 months I've been cleared by the doc, swinging, but I've got a bit rusty. I'm not surprised. I've been there, I've torn a ligament in my knee. Just take it slowly, stay patient. Your swing won't be anything like it was because you'll end up protecting yourself when you're trying to swing it, if that makes sense. So I constantly backed out of my swing for a year because I was trying to protect my knee. Just be wary of that. Your swing won't be the same for quite a while, but just take it easy. Don't do yourself any more damage. Before you started your long drive journey, you had a decent length drive already. As a teaching pro, do you see much improvement in carry distance when you take people through a series of lessons, or does that come through a different training technique? To be honest, strength is key, flexibility is key. You need raw clubhead speed. When I'm trying to get people to swing it faster, a lot of people, when I gain them distance, is more because they're backing off their shot or they're trying to steer a ball down the fairway. Whereas if I just try and get them to actually smash it, i.e. swing as fast as they can, I try and build a swing around that, if that makes sense. Distance is always important. You look at the money list on tour at the moment, the longest hitters are the ones that keep winning. So distance is important in the game of golf. However, you can't trade it with consistency. But when it comes down to can you gain more clubhead speed, the majority of it is in the gym. Ryan says, should you stick with using irons until you get consistent when you start golf before trying to use woods? Yes and no. I think at the end of the day it's going to get a bit boring if you just keep using irons all the time. People love using drivers. Obviously I've gone through the whole golf process now, so obviously I'm starting again left-handed and I'm going to just wedge, short game, couple of irons, driver here and there. But you want to enjoy it as well. Get relatively consistent with the irons. There's no trouble in obviously spending 20% of your range balls hitting woods as well. Would you ever consider testing a launch monitor like the GC2 versus real life? Calm day, flat range with a spot, armed with a laser rangefinder? Potentially. The only problem is that these are all scientifically proven. Like the best people in the world use these monitors, so I'd be very surprised if they are out, but it would be an interesting test. Tips for a 7-iron punch shot out of the trees, looking for 100-120 yards of carry without getting more than 15 yards of ground, off the ground, sorry, and minimize run out. So don't say just grab a 5-iron. I was about to say just grab a 5-iron. Tough one, because here's my analogy. The ball doesn't know what it's getting hit by. So if you grip down a 5-iron and just hit it a bit softer, you're going to get exactly the same as you would from a 7-iron, but putting your hands massively forward and kind of shallowing it out, if that makes sense. I would always play a 5-iron from that spot. 7-iron, you're going to have to put, I wouldn't put it back in your stance, I'll just get your hands very much ahead of the golf ball, close that grip down, so obviously you're getting very little loft, and make sure your hands stay through so you don't shank it. But to be honest, I'll just use a 5-iron. When you coming to Australia for a round? When you send me an invite, I'll be there. Okay, so I've got 2 questions that are quite similar. I've got one from Luke that says, how did you become a golf pro? What are the steps to become one? Dream job? And then I've got Ben that says, how long did it take you to get down to 4? What's your handicap when you started? How long did it take you to do your PGA? Thanks. I started golf when I was 17. I got completely obsessed with it. I was working in a pub at the time. I then got my handicap down to 4. It was 21 when I started. It was really tough because even though I could hit balls just like I can now, anxiety, emotions, when I was in competition, I just wanted it so much because I wanted this to be my job. I found it very difficult to get my handicap down, especially in competitions, doing my playing ability. So you have to do your PGA degree. You don't have to do your playing ability, I don't think, anymore. It's an away degree at Birmingham University in England. I had to do my playing ability, which is 15 over 36 holes, which I failed twice and then passed it on the 3rd time. It was just a mess. It's like taking a penalty for the World Cup. Like, you do it every day, all day, and then for whatever reason your body just doesn't answer, and each time I tried to do my playing ability I just wanted it so much. I suffered with anxiety, emotions. It just wasn't pretty. Golf psychology helped me through it. I had a golf psychologist, I read a lot of Bob Rotella books, I did a lot of mental training, just to shoot under 15 over, under 36 holes. But it's like someone doing that with a gun to your head. It was so difficult for me, but I finally did it, and I'm a lot better golfer because of it. And then my PGA degree took 3 years, which you can start coaching throughout that, but obviously I'm finished now. But yeah, it was a long old process, guys. A lot of people just walk through it, breeze through it. I think if I started the game when I was younger and did like junior comps, men's opens, whatever it might be, I would have been more readied for that kind of scenario. But because I didn't have that, that's what I missed out on throughout not playing junior golf. I think technique wise, I can hit a ball as good as any person, there's no question about that. Out on the golf course, under pressure, different kettle of fish. I continually pushed my irons to the right, not slice mind you, just pushed. I tried to change my aim, but it still doesn't seem to work. The ball pretty much goes dead straight, always to the right of target. I'm a right-handed shot, thanks. It's exactly the same. Without seeing your swing, it's difficult, but if you've got an in-to-out path, which you must do if you're pushing the ball, club face is too open, so just close your club face at address, or bow your left wrist at the top of your swing. That's what I'd suggest. If it turns into a flippy hook, then unfortunately you're going to have to look more into your swing. But yeah, basically if you could change that club face to about 5 degrees more close, and unfortunately golf is a game like that, that's all it counts, that ball will probably finish back on target. I hit irons consistently off the hill, not improving when moving my stance further or nearer. Any tip? I'd put a basket next to the ball, so put your club basically down by the ball, square it up to the middle of the club face, and then put a basket, plastic one, just outside of it, and then focus on trying to hit it more out of the toe. It sounds like your hands keep coming away from you, i.e. you're losing posture. Again, these are difficult, guys, because I can't see your swing, but that's kind of a common fix. How can an indoor simulator like SkyTrack best be used to improve one's game when winter weather means no real golf for 4 months? To be honest, yardages and distance, that's probably the only things you can work on. I know obviously it does give you like rudimental numbers, but yardages and wedge game, I'd use that heavily for wedge play in the winter. Just get those 3 swings with 3 different wedges worked in, so you are ready for the summer, because that's going to help your game no end. Paul, how is your break 100 left-handed progressing? Very well. Hopefully you saw the video last night by now. If not, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and you won't miss any of the others. Which club do you mostly use to chip around the green? A 52-degree wedge or 50-degree wedge? I love hitting bump and run shots. I hate using a 60-degree wedge, so the lower lofted the better. God, it's getting dark here now, isn't it? Everyone knows about shaft flex, but how important is it compared to shaft weight and torque? Shaft weight's important for tempo. Torque is important for feel. Torque, the more torque a club has, or less torque I should say, the stiffer it actually feels compared to shaft flex. However, if you have an X stiff shaft flex driver, you've probably got low torque in it, and again you've got less torque, or more torque I should say, if you've got a soft flex shaft. So they kind of come hand in hand. Obviously you have to go to the finer details of shaft manufacturers and high-end shafts to really mix about with shaft flex and high torques and low torques and weights. However, it doesn't make a huge amount of difference to the average golfer. That's why not many people talk about it. What do you think the best wedge combo is, and would you replace your set wedge to match other wedges, e.g. all Vokeys? It's all about yardages with wedges, so it doesn't matter the type, the brand, the colour, how short it is, what shaft you put in it, what grip it's got on it. Just make sure you've got the yardages sorted out. So if you need a 50, like a 50, a 56, a 60 or a 47, make sure your yardages are good. That's my main advice. How do you balance long drive swing with maintaining a functional golf course fairway finding driver swing? Well, I don't, unfortunately. It's just shorter, to be honest. Everything's a pitch shot with my whole set, or feels like it's a pitch shot, which definitely helps in terms of consistency, but I don't practice enough playing golf to see the difference at the moment. Hopefully in the summer we will change that. Does the fade to draw slide weight on an SLDR driver actually work? Is it able to change shape of shots? No, it won't change the shape of a shot. Well, potentially. It's going to close or open that face more. It won't change the swing path. So if you always fade it, it might help a bit of a slice by a couple of degrees, which might take off about 7 yards. It won't help you to hit a draw shot. So It's bad marketing from the manufacturers on that side of it, but it does work to a certain degree. It just won't, you can't just be slicing the ball and just change the draw setting and hit a draw. It doesn't work like that, unfortunately. But I will close the club face more on a draw setting, just from where the center of gravity is in that head. I shoot between 88 and 92. Which irons would be best suit me, M6 or P790s, TaylorMade irons? I'm not a big fan of the M6s, to be perfectly honest. P790s have outperformed and just overall look, feel, sound, one of the best irons I think have come out over the last decade. So I would say P790s 100%. Which area of golf should you target to break 80? Short game, short game, short game, putting, chipping, wedge play, 80 yards and in. That's it. What's your squat, bench and deadlift numbers? My bench currently at the moment, 1 rep max is 90 kilos. Squat is 120 kilos and deadlift is 140. They are all pathetic, but we're getting back into the gym, so hopefully they're all going to start increasing. They aren't my PBs, like obviously last year before I had Blake, my PBs were a lot heavier, but that's what they are now. How can I consistently strike the ball? Practice. Practice, more practice, keep hitting them, and more practice. How's your long driving distance numbers going? Good. I haven't lost distance, but I haven't gained distance. Obviously juggling everything with Blake, it's been difficult to get progress, but we're back in the gym, we're eating better, we're stretching, we're more flexible. It's going to be a big year. We want to hit that 200-mile-an-hour mark, and we want to get our first competition in. And that brings me on to my last question of the day. Mark Hilton, when's your first long drive comp? I'm hoping Cologne in Germany at the start of April. I haven't entered yet because I need to get the time off work and I need to get flights, but that's the plan. I was hoping to obviously get in a lot more fixtures this year, but obviously I underestimated family life and work, but we will be competing this year, there's no question about that, and the plan is still very much to compete in long drive, but we need to get our numbers up, we need to get a sponsor, and we need to get competing. Guys, I hope you enjoyed that Q&A and I hope I covered everything. Please do leave me some questions down below if I missed anything. Subscribe if you're new. Leave that video a like. I need to go to the gym. It is so cold. My hand is literally like blue. See you later.